You're staring at a perfectly sliced brisket. That pink ring just beneath the crust is absolutely gorgeous. And you've probably heard that it's the holy grail of smoking, a sign you've nailed your technique, that your meat is peak tenderness, that you've officially made it as a pitmaster. Here's the shock. The smoke ring has almost nothing to do with how your brisket actually tastes or how tender it is. It's pure chemistry, and some of the greatest barbecue in the world is made without one. So today, we're diving deep into what that pink ring actually is, why pitmasters became obsessed with it, and most importantly, whether you should actually care about getting one. Let's start with the science, because honestly, it's cooler than the myth. That beautiful pink color isn't smoke flavor locked into the meat. It's a chemical reaction between two specific compounds. When you smoke meat, nitrogen dioxide and nitric oxide from the burning wood penetrate the outer layer of the meat, typically about 1/4 inch deep. Now here's where myoglobin enters the stage. Myoglobin is the protein in muscle tissue that holds oxygen and gives raw meat its red color. When those nitrogen gases hit myoglobin, they create a compound called nitrosomyoglobin, and that compound is pink, strikingly, vividly pink. So the smoke ring isn't proof of smoke flavor, it's proof that a specific gas reached a specific depth, nothing more. Now you might be thinking, okay, so why does the rest of the meat turn brown and gray when it cooks? That's because heat transforms myoglobin into metmyoglobin, which is grayish-brown. But in that thin outer zone where the nitrogen dioxide reached before the heat fully penetrated, you get this preserved pink layer. It's a window into the temperature gradient of your cook. Fascinating, right? But here's the kicker, and this is where most people get it wrong. The presence of a smoke ring tells you almost nothing about the taste or texture of the meat. You can have a stunning smoke ring on a tough, bland brisket. You can have zero smoke ring on some of the most tender, smoky, delicious meat you've ever eaten. The ring is an aesthetic achievement, not a flavor one. So if that's true, why are pitmasters absolutely obsessed with it? Because competition barbecue happened. Starting in the 1980s and exploding through the 1990s and 2000s, organized barbecue competitions became a massive deal. Judges were looking for visual cues that separated great teams from amateurs. The smoke ring became a status symbol. It looked impressive. It suggested you knew what you were doing, and it became a shorthand for quality. Competition teams started optimizing specifically for visible pink rings, which meant using woods and fuel types that produce more nitrogen dioxide, and adjusting their cooking temperatures to keep that outer layer in a certain temperature zone longer. The smoke ring became the aesthetic trophy of American barbecue. And honestly, I get it.
It looks incredible, but here's what's interesting. Most competition judges are now much more focused on taste, tenderness, and actual smoke flavor than the ring itself. The obsession has slowly shifted. Let me tell you about Texas barbecue for a second, because this is where things get really nuanced. Some of the most legendary Texas pitmasters, guys who've been smoking meat for 50, 60 years, have told me they've never chased the smoke ring. They're after bark, crust, that perfect pink center from the cooking temperature, and above all, flavor. Aaron Franklin, probably the most famous pitmaster in America right now, talks about smoke ring as a bonus, not a goal. His briskets have a beautiful pink ring, sure, but that's almost a side effect of chasing the actual things that matter. Low temperature, long cook, good wood, proper moisture. The ring shows up because he's doing everything else right, not because he optimized for the ring. Here's a pro tip that most home cooks miss. If you want a smoke ring and you're cooking with an offset smoker or a drum barrel, use hardwoods like oak or hickory in the first few hours of your cook. Keep your pit temperature between 225 and 275 degrees Fahrenheit and maintain decent smoke without going overboard. Thin blue smoke, not thick white smoke. Thick smoke actually has less nitrogen dioxide and more unburned particles. It creates less ring and worse flavor. Thin blue smoke means the wood is burning cleanly and efficiently, producing those nitrogen oxides you need. But again, this is optimization for the ring itself. If you skip it, you haven't failed. Now here's where this gets controversial, because some regional styles barely have a smoke ring at all. Carolina whole hog barbecue, cooked low and slow over coals with whole logs, often has minimal pink. Kansas City competition barbecue sometimes prioritizes thick bark and smoke flavor over ring visibility. And some of the most famous barbecue restaurants in America, places people line up for hours to visit, produce briskets with thin or barely visible rings. The meat is still incredible because it's cooked properly, seasoned well, and sliced at the right thickness. The ring doesn't matter nearly as much as people think. So what should you actually focus on if you're cooking brisket at home? Temperature control first and foremost. A consistent 225 to 275 degree cook is non-negotiable. The fat render, the connective tissue breakdown, the texture of the finished meat, those are what matter. Use good smoke, but don't obsess over the color. Good rubs with salt, pepper, and maybe garlic or paprika. A proper wrap around the 6-hour mark to push through the stall. A rest period after the cook so the meat reabsorbs its juices. And honestly, a sharp knife so that when you slice, you're not destroying those beautiful layers. If a smoke ring appears, great, you've got a conversation starter. But if it doesn't, you haven't done anything wrong.
The only question that matters is, does it taste incredible? The smoke ring has become a meme in barbecue culture, and I think that's actually healthy. We're moving away from treating it like a report card and back toward what actually matters: respect for the meat, proper technique, real smoke flavor, and feeding people something that makes them happy. That's the real barbecue goal. So here's my question for you. Have you ever rejected a piece of brisket because it didn't have a smoke ring, even though it tasted amazing? Or have you been chasing that ring and ignoring the actual flavor? Drop your take in the comments. I read every single one. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new deep dive into meat, technique, and the weird culture wars that surround cooking. Next time, we're going into the actual science of the Maillard reaction and why your crust tastes better than any sauce ever could.